Government of Haryana. Aye sir, kindly come on the stage. Welcome sir. Shri Dr. A.T. Kumhar, who is the Additional IGR, Department of Registration and Stamps, Government of Maharashtra. Welcome sir. I will invite Shri Satnam Sethi ji, who is the COO of Maha Online, a very, very important organization which is implementing ICTs in the state in a big way. And we have from NPCI, National Payment Corporation of India, Shri Kiran Hejmadi. Kiran ji, kindly come on the stage. And we have Ashutosh Khandekar, who is a senior manager of the Bank of Maharashtra. Kindly come on the stage, sir. And Secretary, sir, had to leave because of urgent meeting at the CM's office. So I really apologize on this behalf. And I will request, it is a surprise request on this stage, sir, to Vivek Atre ji to be the moderator of the session also, besides like giving me the speech of his views on this issue of e-transaction. Yeah, so I will hand over this stage to Vivek ji now. Yeah, I will give it.
Welcome to this session. So we are talking about e-transactions here today. E-transactions, as you know, are an important part of our life, not only in government, but also in the private services which are offered. Without e-transactions, no modern life is possible. And day to day, we are seeing a lot of change in the way we transact with the government and also with the other service providers. To kick off proceedings, we will have the first speaker, and he is Mr. Kiran Hejmadi from NPCI. He'll make a presentation for hopefully about 10-12 minutes. That's all we will have per speaker. And then we'll have an interaction at the end. Okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm going to speak about is a product called IMPS. This is, as the name suggests, it's immediate payment service. And within e-transactions, when you say this caters to the e-payment segment of the e-transactions as such. And IMPS is a product which is developed by National Payment Corporation of India. I'm sure you have heard Mr. Hota in the morning session, those of you all who are there. So I represent that NPCI. National Payment Corporation of India was incorporated in December 2010 by 10 leading banks in the country. Out of these are spread across public sector banks, private, includes 6 public sector banks, 2 private and 2 foreign sector banks. The idea of incorporating NPCI was to encourage e-transactions or e-payments in the country and to build a retail payment platform for the country. That was the idea with which NPCI was envisioned in a vision document by Reserve Bank of India, and that's the purpose with which NPCI was incorporated. There are various products that NPCI offers in the e-payment space or the e-transaction space. Starting with NFS, National Financial Switch, which allows you to do transactions on any of the ATMs. I mean, it was a few years back, few years back, if I had an IDBI Bank ATM card, for example, I was forced to search for an IDBI Bank ATM and go to that ATM to withdraw cash. So it is because of products like NFS, National Financial Switch, which has allowed interoperability between all the banks in the country today. More than 100 banks which are connected to NFS Switch. We have the capability today to walk up to any ATM which is connected to the ATM among these 100 banks and withdraw our cash, irrespective of what the bank it is. We have check truncation system, which the name as rightly says, it allows, we have built infrastructure which allows you to capture the image of the check at the origination point and send it to the bank, which has to debit your or debit the account and give it back to the customer. We have NACH, which is the electronic mandate processing arm of NPCI. We have AEPS, which is basically Aadhaar-enabled payment solution. We have IMPS, which we'll be speaking of in this session in the next 5 minutes, and we have RuPay, which is our domestic card scheme. As such, those are the products of NPCI, and we will elaborate a little more on IMPS. IMPS has as I said, it's an instant mobile transfer service introduced by NPCI, empowering bank customers to make an instant fund transfer within any of the member banks connected to IMPS. Today, there are around 56 banks connected to NPCI. All the leading banks in the country are connected to NPCI, so almost 100% of the bank customers, public, private and foreign sector bank customers are enabled to make a fund transfer or transfer money from one account to another instantly 24/7. So when I say instantly, what it means, just to give you a use case, how instant this is. For example, if you're standing again on an ATM and it happens to be a Sunday, and you want to withdraw cash, and suddenly you find that there's no cash, or there's an insufficient balance in your account. So what do you do at this point? I mean, if you ask for somebody in a normal course, if you ask somebody to make a transfer, it will take 24 to 12 hours to that account to be credited with any other source of transaction. So IMPS is something which comes in this place, which allows an instant transfer. So you can just make a call to one of your friends or somebody and ask them to transfer money into your account, and you can at the same point of time, within a minute, withdraw cash from your account. So that's the power of an IMPS, and that's what it facilitates. Just another use case would be there are around 150 taxi drivers in Mumbai, and also a lot of taxi drivers and rickshaw drivers in other states which have been enabled to accept payments on IMPS. So we are trying to make the whole ecosystem cashless, whereby even at the grassroots level, you don't have to pay cash. You can accept, even the rickshaw drivers or taxi drivers can accept cash. Even the kirana stores can accept e-payments instead of cash. So that's what we are attempting to do using IMPS. So what was missing if you see how we have evolved from having RTGS, NEFT, which is again a delayed payment and works only on holidays. This kind of payment was in the e-transaction space was looked out for, so that you can get an immediate transfer into your account, and you can the other person can receive the money immediately. This IMPS, these are some of the benefits of IMPS. It's, as I've already said, it's 24/7. There's standardized credit and debit. There's a simple and easy to use, and it's a cost-effective mechanism of doing a transfer. IMPS, when it was envisaged in 2010, November 2010, it was considered to be a mobile transaction utility. So it started off in 2010 as a solution which is available on the mobile banking piece of the bank. So if you have a Union Bank account and you have a mobile application of the Union Bank, you would have IMPS as a facility to make a transfer into any bank account of any of the 56 bank accounts in the country. So, but over the period of last 2 years with inputs from the banking community and customers, IMPS as a service has evolved to not only being restricted to mobile banking, but also is available on the ATM and also on the net banking services. So there are a lot of banks which are offering today IMPS services on the ATM, on the internet, and also on the mobile piece. So before I'll just conclude my presentation with NUUP, this is called a National Unified USSD Platform. I have a short 4-minute video which will kind of elaborate on the session.
For millions of mobile phone users in India, this is more than just a number. Star 99 hash signals the arrival of a super convenience in mobile banking. One number which can be used across all telcos and all banks as they get ready. Welcome to National Unified USSD Platform, NUUP. An initiative suggested in the report of Interministerial Group on delivery of basic financial services using mobile phones. Supported by Reserve Bank of India, IBA and MPFI, Mobile Payment Forum of India, and executed by NPCI, National Payments Corporation of India. Star 99 hash is one number for every Indian citizen, which will help banks increase their reach and extend the convenience of anytime, anywhere banking to their customers. Here is how it works. Raju has to send some money to his father at his native place. He dials star 99 hash on his mobile and follows a few simple steps. He enters his 7-digit MMID, then gets connected to his bank, following which he selects the IMPS option from the bank menu. He then enters the beneficiary mobile number and beneficiary MMID number. He then enters the amount to be sent and confirms the details. After this, he then enters his bank-given password and completes the transaction. An SMS will instantly inform his father about the amount that has been sent to him. Using star 99 hash, customers can do a host of banking activities like balance inquiry, mini statement, transferring money, and many more as they get ready. Besides, it can also help him pay his utility bills, do mobile and DTH top-ups, and the list goes on. For customers in rural India, star 99 hash brings a lot of convenience. Star 99 hash allows customers to do most of their banking on the mobile without stepping into a bank branch, like wages received, and is also a potential channel for implementation of financial inclusion objectives of Government of India. Star 99 hash offers several unique advantages. Being a USSD shortcode, it does away with the complexities of downloading an application. It works on all GSM phones, irrespective of make, model or service provider. Being a session-based communication with the user, no information of the transaction is stored on the mobile, making the transaction more secure. Star 99 hash utilizes the same capability as the voice calls, which makes banking services available even in remote locations. Behind this simple and convenient transaction is a secure and robust mechanism which ensures total accuracy, confidentiality, and security of money transferred. Star 99 hash, one number that will redefine mobile banking in India.
So that was the National Unified USSD platform that NPCI has built in. If you see the diagram, NPCI, the NUUP platform plays a central switch role, which allows transaction or communication between the telco and the bank. So we have 56 banks connected to us on one side, but on the NUUP platform, we have around 26 migrated. And we have telcos on the other side, which speak to the banks, or the customers can access using NUUP their bank accounts through using the NUUP switch developed by NPCI. So it's a single number which every Indian will have to dial. That's called a *99#. Currently, this service is live with 27 banks and 2 telcos, that is BSNL and MTNL, and the other telcos are in the process of integration, or various stages of integration or certification process. So that's all I have in the 8 minutes presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hejbadi. Now I'll request Mr. Satnam Sethi of Maha Online to speak. Now we will have a discussion. Basically, I'll request the panelists to give their views, and then we'll have an interactive session. Mr. Sethi.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, friends. We are talking about today, in today's age, everybody want to save the time, save the money, and then do the transactions online. This is where the DIT, Government of Maharashtra mandate is made, that every citizen should be able to do all the applications for different type of services which government provide, should be provided through e-transactions or all supported by e-payments. In this context, there are various initiative has been taken by the departments. Like one of them is the Maha Online, which has been created, which has to provide all G2C, B2C, G2G services to the citizens. Maha Online has to open this all through Setu Center. There are 3 various areas through which the e-transaction or e-payment or the government services are provided. We have some Setu centers, we have the CSC centers which are supported by SCA. There is a RDD department has opened there around 25,000 centers throughout each and every Gram Panchayat. So citizens should be able to avail the service very near to their house. The objective is to transfer the citizen from inline to online and giving them a various mode of payments. They should be able to pay through cash, they should be able to pay through credit card, debit card, online banking or through a mobile banking. Now through Maha Online we are also providing various services. There are 16 mandatory forms which are there, which are the revenue department, like birth certificate, death certificate, income certificate. Those should be applied online through any one of the CSCs. Today there are more than 10,000 CSCs and 25,000 Sangram Kendra which are there in each and every Gram Panchayat, where the citizen go and apply for those certificates and do the collection from there itself. So they don't have to go to any collector office, they don't have to go to any department, and very near to their house. So by this way they will be saving lot of money, traveling cost and the time which they have spent on the thing. We are also providing various services through that. Each and every application when you apply it goes through SMS gateway. You get an SMS alert on that, you can do the verification on that. So this is where we are going to increase the reach of government services to the citizen, plus convenience to the citizen and benefit to the citizens. Also it generates the employment. The best part there is that when you open any CSC center or a service center or Gram Panchayat center, you are also generating an employment. Each center there will be 1 or 2 operators who will be working. So it's increasing the IT initiative of that. You are increasing the IT level of the people in the villages. So we should promote more and more e-payment or e-transaction services through these government departments. I'll open to that discussion on this.
Now I'll request Dr. A.T. Kumbhar, Additional IGR, to speak on the e-transactions.
It is whenever the things are done manually, there is a possibility of manipulation. And the very theme, this department, registration and stamps, wants to eliminate these manipulations. The efforts were started long back. Dr. Karir has started this process. The present IGR, Mr. Choklingam, is pursuing this personally. And this department is very successful in implementing the e-governance. Especially this department is very much concerned with you, me and everybody, because every time we have to either go for the stamps or some sort of registration, some sort of documentation, and there we get lot of trouble, stand in the queue, catch some middleman, get the documents prepared by them, get valuation done, and then go to the sub-registrar's office, and then other trouble starts. Or if you want some sort of stamps, go to the vendor, he may say, you please get the document printed from us, and then we will give you the stamp. And all these things start from, this trouble starts from for the people. And therefore, this department has decided that why we should not go for this e-governance. So first is that earlier this registration was done manually. Now you can do it online. The form is, yesterday there was a presentation already. I did not want to repeat it. You can go online this format, fill up that registration form, and you can pay also through GRAS, that is government receipt accounting system, e-payment that we call. There are 2-3 ways of e-payments, and then go with the challan to the register and get your document registered. Now, more facility step in that we have created, that is, you can, for 30 days in advance, you can take your opportunity of when to go to the sub-registrar office. It will give you on slot time. It is 12:30 on 20th of May. You will be going on that time and you will be entertained by the sub-registrar, and you can register your document, and within half an hour that process will be completed, and immediately you can get a copy of your registered document, and there is no botheration of giving the extra copy, a Xerox copy to the department, because it is already inbuilt, created there only. Not only that, before registration, if you want to have some valuation of your what will be the stamp duty, that facility is also made available here. That annual statement of rates, that is made available. Especially in Pune, Mumbai and Thane, we have made 10 years data of past 10 years registrations, and that you can utilize for search of your document first, whether whatever the land or the flat you are going to purchase, whether it has been already purchased by somebody and how many transactions have taken place, that history you can make available for 10 years from 2002 onwards up to 2012 December. We are trying to make as a future of this our program that it will be available since 1990, and the people will be able to get all this information, how many transactions with relation to the particular land or the particular flat or particular property has taken place. Then regarding valuation, we have made available that earlier it is called Ready Reckoner. Every year we update it on 1st January, and that has been displayed, and you can get, if you enter the property particulars, then you will get ready-made that stamp duty, how much you have to pay, valuation and the stamp duty. So that has been also made easy. You can make the payments through your internet banking, sitting at your home. You can take the help of MKCL also, they charge some 20 rupees or something like that. Or across the bank also you can go and make the payment. You can create your own challan at your home, and you can take that challan to the bank. Bank will again stamp on that. Or if it is internet banking, that challan will do anywhere, wherever there is a registration of document or the payment of the stamps is there. Another system we have introduced recently, ESBTR, that is Security Banking Cum Treasury registration, that is a receipt. Recently we have introduced that one. We are in process of starting it. IDBI Bank has already shown the demonstration. We have tested that also. What is that ESBTR? I talked about the registration. This is regarding stamping. We have got judicial stamps and non-judicial stamps. And denominations are starting from 10 to 25,000 rupees. And everywhere, we have already gone one phase, that Telugu scam. And there was the duplication of the stamps. So we want to avoid that also. Nobody can copy their stamps. Therefore, ESBTR idea has come, and already government has issued the GR on 15th of March this year. And we have already called for, this is a stamp. One more mode that I told you earlier, that is a challan. But challan is a simple receipt where it is stamped by the concerned authority, competent authority, and that is to be treated as a receipt. But the people do not feel it like because there is nothing like the stamp, or that look is not there. So we have taken care of that. Now there will be a common stamp where there will not be any amount on that stamp. You have to go to the concerned computer bank which is authorized, and that bank will put that amount on that stamp paper, and you will get the stamp paper of that value, of any value. There is no limitation on that. So this is the department has taken so many steps in e-governance. I think this is sufficient. It is better if you ask if you have got some difficulties to questions, and that I will be able to answer those. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. We'll take the questions at the end of the session. In the meantime, I'll request Mr. Diwakar Patil, Chief Manager from Bank of Maharashtra, to discuss his bank's views.
Respected panelists on the dais, and my dear delegates, it's a interaction session, I was told, and this is the afternoon session. The food was very good. I had the chance to taste the food also. When we talk about e-transactions, I think we could have had some discussions, but here it is little, I think the temperature is little more congenial for a nap. Friends, I am here to tell you about the transactions that can happen through a banking channel. Whatever transaction that you want to do, coming to branch, you want to do some certain transactions, all those transactions can happen through electronic mode. See, this e-transaction, why it is required and why it is to be promoted. I think that is the crux of the issue here. Now, if something is convenient to me, something is beneficial to me, I'll go for that. Now, e-transaction is such a thing that is quite convenient to me and that is quite beneficial to me also. If you have opted for these e-transactions, you need not have to come to the branch. You need not have to see the face of that serious branch manager, stand in the queue, wait for hours, and then get your work done. I said whatever you are doing while going to, whatever transactions you are doing in brick and mortar branch, you can do all those transactions through e-transactions. Take the simple example of sending money to your son. My son is studying in Chennai, so I want to send some money to my son. Now it is as simple as that. I'll open my laptop. Okay. My son is having account with say HDFC Bank, whereas I have account with my Bank of Maharashtra. I'll do an internet transaction. If the amount is say more than 2 lakh rupees, I can go for RTGS, wherein my account gets debited and my son's account gets credited immediately within a fraction of a second. Not only that, my son will get an SMS stating that his account is credited by that amount. He can walk into a nearby ATM and simply withdraw the money. That is as easy as that. If the amount is less, then probably it will be through NEFT. Even if he doesn't have an account, with any of the banks, sir, there is a system of transferring money even if you don't have the account. IMT, instant money transfer. You need not have to have the account. Even then, money can be transferred. The beneficiary need not have to have the account. Even then, the money can be transferred. In this case, even if my son doesn't have the account, what I'll do is, I'll go for IMT. One SMS will go to my son's mobile. It will contain some coded message. And then I'll again be transmitting another message. When these two messages are put in, he can go to the ATM and then he can type all these two messages and then withdraw money. So the technology is there. It is for the convenience of everybody, and we can make use of that. Now we want to make the payment of, say, electricity bill. Now, the thing is, in Mumbai, it is very difficult to locate a place where I can go and pay my electricity bill. Or I don't have time. I need to leave my house maybe by, say, morning 7 o'clock, and then I'll be back home maybe by 9 o'clock night. I don't have time. So what I can do is, there are 2-3 options here. One is that I can instruct my bank, fix some amount, and give a mandate to the bank that up to this amount you pay the bills. That is one way of doing it. Or else I can instruct, I can give a mandate like it's called ECS. And if I give that particular debit mandate, bank will debit that account and then it will credit. And the third thing may be, through using the internet, I can make the payment. So these are the very convenient mode of transactions which you can immediately do that. Now the e-transaction doesn't have any location specific barriers. E-transaction can be had anywhere, anytime, 24/7. Say I want to send money to somebody, so today it is holiday, how to do that? Need not be. It can happen even then also. Now that RBI has come out with a new NGRTGS, next generation RTGS, which is going to enable transfer of money even on holidays also. Our friend here from NPCI, he has already elaborated about the IT platform that is there for IMPS, AEPS, all these things. These are the things that are going to be in future. Now friends, banks have got their own target for encouraging e-transactions. I can reveal this as regards the Bank of Maharashtra is concerned. We have around 8 lakh transactions per day, sir. In a day, our bank is having around 8 lakh transactions. Out of which around 35% of that, around 3 lakh transactions are through e-transactions. Now the target is to have 50% of the transactions through e-transactions. Now to achieve this, what we are doing is, we are giving certain incentives for the persons who are doing the e-transactions. You may be knowing that if you have an ATM card and if you withdraw using your ATM card, we will give you a reward point. Using the reward point, you can encash those reward points. And during that particular period, if you make purchase using the ATM card, ATM cum debit card, using the POS, point of sale terminus, again the reward points will be there, then that can be converted into cash. For the next purchase, you can just encash it. So like that, reward points are given. You may be aware that credit cards, whenever they are given, you get the reward points. And then reward points can be exchanged to some gift and other things. So that's how we are going to encourage it. Now the target being 50% of total transactions to be e-transactions, we have set our own goal that we will make it as 75% of the transactions. And we are on to achieving that. I have the detailed workout of that, and we are into achieving all those transactions here. Now, it is for all government organizations and also for the banks that whatever the payments that we make to the vendors, that has to be necessarily through e-payment, e-transactions. So if I have to make some payment to IBM or some other supplier, it will be necessarily through RTGS or NEFT. So that is achieved. In the same fashion, friends, what we can do is, on our own we can do all these things. So if I want to withdraw money, I'll go to ATM. If I want to deposit cash, I'll go to ATM, and there is a facility to deposit cash. If I want to deposit check, yes, I'll go to ATM and deposit the check. If I want to send money, I'll do it using my internet banking. So all these things, when we do it, it is most convenient to us. Not only convenient, it is profitable to us also. Because, and it is, it is quite a secure thing. It's quite a secure thing as long as I protect my identity. I protect my password, and I'll use the secure network using my own laptop or PC. So that way, we can be very much sure. So I think these are some of the areas wherein we can deliberate all these things, and I'm open to all your questions. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Patil. The panelists have spoken about their impressions of e-transactions. Just to add a few words from my side before we have an interactive session, the e-transactions are so much a way of life in this era that it is hardly news to us that the transfer of money is taking place from one person to another through electronic means. But if you go back to the 80s or 90s, we were doing things in a very different way, and today we take them for granted. The thing is that e-transactions started in the government with some sketchy efforts, but today they have matured to an extent that many people who were skeptical to pay online or to carry out any e-transactions initially when they started have now come on board. So much so that Mr. Patil tells us that out of 8 lakh transactions per day, more than 3 lakh transactions are e-transactions for his bank. So gradually we will find that the roles will be reversed and the majority of transactions will be e-transactions and very few transactions would be physical transactions. The roles will be reversed because the acceptability of e-transactions is growing. You find that in the railways, for the IRCTC side, what they have done, I don't need to go into the background of IRCTC and how they have managed to change the way we book tickets. What they have done is they have even started giving gold standards, silver standards and bronze to the various payment options. So if you're booking a ticket, they say that, okay, these are the banks, if you book through them, then you will get the quickest result, or you will get an assured result in your e-transaction. These are the ones in which you may not get a 100% result, but you may get a good result. And then you have the third category, which may not be that effective. So now standards of e-transactions are being evolved, and the efficiency, the time taken, and the throughput and the actual result is the parameter for analysis and for judging which e-transaction is mature and efficient and which is not. Some government departments, because I'll talk more about the government, some are still in a very nascent stage. For example, transport department of many states still does not allow road taxes to be paid or taxes to be paid or fees to be paid for the transport sector. The transport sector, in commercial transport especially, deposits large amount of revenues with the government. And very few states have now gone in for e-payments or e-transactions, thereby enabling people to sit in their homes or sit in their offices and go in for e-payments. National permits, for example, used to be given physically and they had to be long queues and people had to deposit DDs. Now the national permit for a vehicle costs about 18,000 rupees or something like that. Most of the people in the transport sector, which might seem to be a very traditional kind of sector, you will find that the transporters are lapping it up and are coming through e-transactions to pay their national permit fees so that they don't have to go through the old routes. There are still so many areas where e-transactions would facilitate life much better, where the government needs to work. We've heard a lot about the health and education sector, but so much still can be done. Why is it not possible for us to download our report from a hospital or from a government hospital, let us say, where we have gone and given a blood test or some other test? Why cannot we download it from the website? Why is it not possible for us to see our patient information record? I think we have a session on healthcare after this. In the education sector, in several states, it is still not possible to see your result or to go in for even an employee in the education department, which is manned by hundreds of thousands of people, cannot see how much leave is pending, when is he going to get promoted, because a lot of work still needs to be done. E-transactions have taken place in the private sector also at the same time, and movie tickets and other things have become just like old hat. There's nothing surprising today that we are getting an SMS from a particular service provider, or we take it for granted. In fact, those who are left behind are the ones who are going to be suddenly left out, because people have become more demanding. They demand that everything takes place through their mobile. Why should a professional have to take short leave to go and do any transaction with a bank or with a government department? Why cannot he be sitting on the train from Bombay to Pune? Why can't he do it there, sitting on his, when he's free? So therefore, the demand for e-transactions will keep on increasing, and people will demand more and more from all kinds of organizations, especially the government, that e-transactions is the only way to transact. Not only does it increase efficiency, reduces corruption, and eliminates delay. There are certain services only where physical presence is required in the office, and that those should be, the rest of them should be done away with. So therefore, I will now request maybe a couple of questions can be taken from the audience, and I'll request the panelists to respond accordingly. You can borrow a mic if it's not working.
Hello.
Can you please elaborate what is RuPay? I visited website, but I couldn't get much information. I'm Jadhav, Director Accounts and Treasury, Government of Maharashtra. I'm looking at it as a point of view of giving advances to government servant, and there is an elaborate procedure in the government, even to draw an advance for his airline travel expenditure and other things. So whether it is a credit card, whether it is a debit card, ATM card, or it is a smart wallet or something that, can I understand it, please?
RuPay, as I said, is a domestic scheme which is equivalent to, we are already used to seeing Visa, Master, Mastro and Citrus cards, logos in our credit or debit cards. So this is a similar scheme which is a domestic scheme which with the basic idea of forming NPCI. One of the reasons why NPCI was formed was to launch this domestic scheme so that RuPay can be launched. So currently, RuPay is available only in a debit card, and there are a lot of banks which have issued these debit cards. It can take various, credit card is around, we have planned it around 4 to 5 years down the line. So it's not happening immediately. So there are various formats that this can take, that might be 2 years down the line. We can have a prepaid card and gift cards which the banks will start issuing from a RuPay platform. So currently it's only domestic debit cards which works on ATM withdrawals and also on POS terminals. And it might be in future that we would come up with the credit card platform and also the prepaid platform.
Thank you.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to add one more point is that why did we launch RuPay, and why was RBI so insisting on having a domestic scheme in addition to having a master Visa ABC? Because there's a lot of, when you do a transaction on a payment gateway or in a POS terminal, there's a lot of service fees, a lot of service charges, processing fees that you pay to, which travels abroad and which doesn't stay in domestically. So that's why, and to bring in competition and to reduce the cost to the merchant, to the government, to the customers, that's the reason with which RuPay has started off.
Yeah. First of all, I am amazed for last 2 days, and it has culminated in this today's session of e-transactions. Some of the things which I was not knowing, like IMT or IMPS, I came to know just now. So I would like to also that stamp registration, etc. It was really amazing. I want to ask one or two questions, like basically this IMPS, when you that is for *99#, is it possible only on the MTN and BSNL mobiles only, or on any mobile service?
The idea of *99 has to make it available across all telcos. So currently it is live with only MTN and BSNL. And
is that to be available with the other companies?
yeah, there are at various stages of certification, as I said in the presentation. So some have finished the certification, but it's still not live, and a lot of them are there are around 10 telcos in the country today. So some of them are in the process of certification. So there are various things going in the background again in this, because the ministry is also involved in this, because this two separate industry merging into one to offer convenience to the larger masses. That's the idea with which the DFS is pushing *99#. There has to be commercial understanding between two industries. There has to be a technological understanding between two industries, and the security, even from the security perspective, there has to be an understanding of who secures what part and who takes the data from which point to which point. So there are various aspects which are currently under discussion. But yes, it has been launched in September, and it's currently live with only two telcos, MTN and BSNL, and we are hoping that the other telcos will come and will start off soon offering this service to their customers.
I wish this needs to be advertised on a larger scale, because probably people should know about it. Secondly, regarding this IMT, Mr. Khandekar told about this money transfer even without the bank account. I hope it is true. Probably if you can give a little more detail on it, I'll appreciate that. And lastly, Mr. Atre told about these various standards which are being declared on this IRCTC sites. I really don't know who declares the standards, like gold standard or silver standard or whatever the bronze standards. And when I tried this transaction, I always do the booking through IRCTC, but then I find it difficulty when your card is in the bronze standard. Is it really that IRCTC is doing something or not doing the transaction when the particular card is in the bronze standard or in the gold standard, something like that? And who gives these standards?
Mr. Patil is here in place of Mr. Khandekar. He will meet you offline for that query which you had about him. You see, I was talking specifically about examples of e-transactions, and I don't hold any brief for the IRCTC. But the thing is that IRCTC has come up with these standards for the convenience of the public. And even I find that at times it takes very long to book a ticket, and often you have paid the amount also, it has gone from your bank and the ticket is still not booked. That also happens. But at least some standards are evolving by and by, whereby people will be able to expect a certain quality from a certain service provider or from a certain bank, and the others will have to pull up their socks. So e-transactions, just by having e-transactions, they may not be satisfied. They may have a choice that I'll go for the more efficient one, the better e-transaction method, only then I'll go. I think we'll pass on to some other question if there is any.
Yeah. Actually, I want to understand whether any department in India has started using the NUP platform that Mr. Kiran explained. I'm not talking about the utility payments as such.
What do you mean by department?
Any government department, let's say I'm paying some tax or paying some...
No, currently no. See, it's kind of just launched this year, end of last year. We are trying to focus to bring as many telcos as possible on the platform, because till all telcos come into on the platform, you will not have the idea of doing NUP is to reach to the masses. So if you don't have all telcos on the platform, we are not reaching the masses at all. So if the customers don't have the convenience of making a payment, it will be confusing to even for a government department to say you can make payment using NUP. So first, step number 1 is to reach all the telcos. Once we have all the telcos, or at least the major telcos, 90% of the customers who cover 90-80% of the customer base, then we'll start propagating and ask customers, encourage customers to use the NUP platform or dial *99# to make a fund transfer or make a payment. Currently, it's only fund transfer; it's not even enabled for payment.
Actually, just a difference in opinion here. Though you have only 2 service providers, but then I can, as a citizen, walk into any recharge agent of the particular telecom company that you're speaking of, and can still avail the service. So I would also, while you're working on more integration with more telcos, I would still like to interact with probably you to integrate the government departments that we work on.
Sure.
I think in the interest of time, you can interact with him offline, and I would like to thank all the panelists for this very interesting session, and I'm sure we have the speakers for the next session already. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Atri sir, for such an engaging session. I would request Atri sir to now distribute the mementos to our esteemed panelists. Mr. Kiran Hajmani from NPCI. Yes, sir. Mr. Satnam Sethi, CEO, Maha Online. Dr. A.T. Kumbhar, Additional IGR, Department of Registration and Stamps. And Shri Patil from Bank of Maharashtra. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I would request Satnam Sethi sir to facilitate Shri Vivek Atri, Additional Secretary, Department of IT, Government of Maharashtra, Haryana. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We would start our next session on ICT in healthcare. Thank you, sir. Welcome.